This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by All Star Vacation Homes. And I don't know about you, Mike Newell, but when I go on vacation, to Disney World, I want to spend a lot of time doing something, a special something. And it's not touring the parks. It's not eating at my favorite restaurant. It's playing Donkey Kong. And you know what? I can't play Donkey Kong when I'm staying at Walt Disney World resorts. But one of the many amenities of a good all-star vacation home is many do have a Donkey Kong machine over there where you can play classic Donkey Kong, as well as have lots of space for your family, your own private pool, and a lot of other great amenities. These are just some of the great stuff that a typical all-star vacation home has. Give them a try. Visit them online at www.allstarvacationhomes.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Monday, December 22nd, 2008, and this is episode 504 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hotchkiss from StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Happy Hanukkah, Mike.
Happy Hanukkah back at you.
Also joining us today is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
You know, Matt, what do I have to do to make you people happy? Pull off my ear?
That would be Mr. Potato Head at Toy Story Midway Mania.
That would be correct.
Very good. And speaking of Disney's Hollywood Studios, on today's episode, we're going to be discussing the American Idol Experience attraction. I had the opportunity to take a tour of the attraction last week at Mouse Fest. It was a kind of a unique opportunity because many cast members still haven't even seen the inside of it. Now, it wasn't a preview of the attraction in that it wasn't like the attraction actually was running. What it was just a tour of the facility and an explanation of some things. And what I was also able to do was also to scavenge and get a lot of interesting information about the attraction. But let's start with describing the attraction itself. It's interesting how it's going to be working. We were escorted in through what I would call the back entrance. It's over on Commissary Lane, across from the ABC Commissary. Familiar with that? And this is where people who audition to perform will actually be brought in. And we were brought in groups of 10. And you're brought into the first stop is the first auditioning room. Now, I don't watch that much of Idol, so there might be it's hard for me to compare what these rooms look like compared to what, if anything, was similar in the television show. But the first room you stayed at was a very small room. Think of like this, the size of a bathroom at a Disney resort, and you have one chair where the contestant sits in. And another producer who sits behind a desk and does conducts the audition, so to speak. And what the person does is they sit there and they audition with no music. They just sing a cappella. And the producer behind the desk sits behind a computer who can communicate with other producers all around. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like there's only one person in the room, but I guess they can hear you around there. Like there's other people listening in. And they can kind of I assume through some sort of instant message protocol, discuss it. And the best way I can describe it was that it was very intimate. There was a bunch of lights and they're all facing the person sitting in that chair over there. So, the pressure's certainly on to get beyond that first stage. It's not going to be easy. And I assume you could pick pretty much any song you'd like to. I asked the cast members about the qualifications of the person behind the desk because, who's doing this? Is this just a college program kiddie? Or is this, someone who knows, music like Mike Newell? And the person what I was told was the person behind the desk would be someone with background and experience in entertainment at Disney. So they didn't say specifically what it could be. It could be someone from the stage or someone from some sort of more musical background, but certainly someone who I guess at the very least understands what good singing is. And I was also led to believe, I guess, with the ability to talk with the other producers about it, they could probably get a better sense of, a group sense of, is this good or is this bad? Now, if the person made it through to the next stage, we were then walked down the hall, and there was a room over there. This was kind of a cool room. It was like a dark red, and it looked like kind of like a lounge. Have you guys ever been to the lounge at Coronado Springs? Rick's Lounge, I think is what the name of it is.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. It's sort of like that. It's much, much smaller, but there's some very hip-looking couches like you'd find at IKEA or something. And the contestants would then at this point have a bunch of they'd have an iPod that they could select from 100 and some odd songs from, so that way they could prepare for their next audition. And I don't know, it wasn't told how long they would have to figure it out in terms of what song or how long they were going to perform for. But at this point, this is all very professional. the inside of the building was really well decorated. I mean, to me, it felt like a TV studio. You know, kind of if you were walking backstage. I'm not sure if any of you had the opportunity, like Newell, if you've ever visited, you know, Rockefeller Center in New York. You know, the NBC studios over there, but it had that like, it was very glitzy. Is the best way I can describe it. And
so sort of like Len's home.
Exactly.
Sort of like the test. Yeah, sort of like the Testa Homestead. Okay.
That's right.
Now I have an idea as to what it looked like. All right.
And then at that point, they would go to the next stage, which is they would audition in front of a few different people over there. This is all still backstage. None of this stuff is seen by regular guests. This is all just backstage stuff to kind of weed out those who have talent and those who think they have talent. And at that point, I assume if they made it past that, then they would actually make it to the first show of the attraction. And at this point we were brought to the stage, and this is where it was really interesting. You are brought in as a guest. Let's back this up for a second. You're going to go in through the main entrance of the Superstar Television Theater over there, which is what it's been renamed, by the way. It's no longer the ABC Theater. And if you remember, excuse me. If you remember the old Superstar Television attraction, you know, you walk up the stair. There's like, you know, a few stairs, and you walk into that main area where the pre-show videos are, and that's where you'll wait as a guest to enter through. The theater is really well decorated. If you've seen the show American Idol, then you've seen. I mean, the stage is nearly identical to the stage that they have on the TV show. I was also told that the stage at the attraction was built by the same guy who made the stage for the TV show. It's season 7 stage. I should be specific about that. And so it's, you know, built kind of the team. It reminds me a lot of how Disney brought in the same people who built the Pixar animation building in California. The brickwork is actually the same bricks that they used at Toy Story Midway Mania. And again, in both cases, Disney wanted to, you know, make people feel like they really are watching the real thing over here, and this isn't just some fake, you know, cheapo replica. So
Just
certainly
like they did for Millionaire. I mean, they probably did the same thing for Millionaire.
Yep, absolutely. So basically the way the show works is you have a bunch of shows per day. There's going to actually be 7 shows per day every hour on the hour, except for 3 o'clock because that's when the Block Party Bash is going on. And they'll be about 20 minutes in length for each show. And you'll have a few contestants in each show, and the person who advances from the people in the audience will vote on the people after they sing, and whoever wins moves on to the finale show at the end. The grand finale show will be at 7 o'clock p.m. each night at the studios. The finale show will be 40 minutes long, again at 7 o'clock p.m. And that's at that point, that person, that's when you potentially whoever wins that wins American Idol for the day, and your prize would be you get a VIP pass, so to speak, to the real American Idol television show to go to the front of the line. You know, if you've seen American Idol, when they're doing the preliminary auditions, there's like 1,000, more than 1,000. What am I talking about? Like, you know, thousands of people literally, and you'll get to bypass the whole line and go right to the front.
Maybe even hundreds.
So one of the things that really struck me about all this, and I'm not sure if you've also thought about this as much as I have, but I mean, everything I've told you, there's a lot of commitment going on in terms of time, wouldn't you guys say? Because you have to, I mean, if you're
yes, Matt, I would.
I mean, if you're committing to it, I mean, think about it. You're showing up for an audition. Let's say you make it through the audition. You then have another audition. Let's say you make it through that audition. Now you're up to the show. You know, you're actually in the show. And if you make it through that show, you got to wait until 7 o'clock to be part of the attraction. So whoever does this, and assuming you're decent at it, I mean, you've got a good potential of spending your entire day at the attraction, which was interesting to me because this isn't just some show or something. Even you know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That was just you're in one show and that's it. You know what I mean?
Right. It will be interesting to see the talent level that goes into that show, and it's going to be funny because there are a lot of people who love the first 2 or 3 weeks of Idol because they like to see those people who are. Well, they like to see people make fools of themselves, and I think that that's going to be a possibility here. Although I would think that there's a better chance that you will see better performers, you know, at the studios than you would when you watch the show, you know, the real television show. So it's going to be interesting. But you make a good point, Matt. These people have to, I mean, they have to be serious contenders to to commit all day. I mean, they're committing an entire day. So it'll be interesting to see how. What's that?
It sounds to me like this is going to become a glorified karaoke club.
Right.
Well, they're really trying to recreate the experience of the television show, I think. And
I
one of the,
understand, but how many really talented people are you're going to see in one given showing?
well, it's not even so much talented people; it's people who actually want to perform. I mean, I know that there are many talented people out there, but they're shy.
Everybody wants to perform, but that doesn't mean that everyone's going to be good.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying was that there might be very talented people who do not want to perform and therefore never, even get that far.
That's a good question, Matt.
Yeah.
How many performers do they need for one day? Do you know?
It's about 3 people per show, and then 7 people at the finale show.
So they need 21. Well, somewhere around 20 to 21 people for the day. Then
Right.
they need.
Well, here's something interesting that I thought that Disney is doing differently, Mike. Is you can sign up online in advance, kind of like you're making an ADR. You can reserve your spot to audition ahead of time. So if you're planning a trip in April, and you're going to be there, and you heard about this Idol attraction, you want to audition for it, you can actually reserve a time and slot for it online by going to the Idol site. I believe it's DisneyWorld.com/idol, and right now you can't, but you'll be able to sign up and do that in advance. I think that might be Disney had those same fears that you guys were talking about not having enough people showing up, but perhaps with people planning ahead, they'll not have to worry about wasting their time going to the studios and not having a spot for them, but B, be able to plan ahead for that. Know that they're potentially spending the day in the studios in the attraction, and they're willing to do that ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Can cast members also participate?
That's a good question. I didn't get the answer to that one. I suspect not. Although that's a good question because it's not the show isn't a Disney thing. I'm not sure if cast members will be exempt from it or not. But that is a good question, Mike.
Yeah, 'cause there are a lot of talented cast members who are performers.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that was interesting was I also got a number of dates for the attraction. The grand opening of the
But
attraction.
you're married. You can't have any dates.
Anyway, I'll just bypass that one. The grand opening of the attraction will be February 14th, 2009. There will be a press event on February 12th, 2009. There will be annual pass and DVC previews February 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2009.
Wow.
So that's basically a long weekend over there to go see that over there. They'll be taking. I mentioned earlier the auditions. You can sign up online, but they will be taking people in the parks, kind of like the standby auditions, as I would call it, from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. So, but I really, what it sounded like when I was talking to the person here from Disney was simply that I think they're really counting on the online stuff to kind of bolster the ranks, so to speak. And I, the other thing I thought about, Mike, is if they didn't have any spots, let's say they only had 2 people for one show, right? I mean,
Okay.
you really think that I could see Disney easily throwing in the what's it called when someone's a fake, like they have in Indiana Jones. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I see, like a ringer or some kind.
Yeah. I mean, they may very well throw.
Yeah.
That's pure speculation on my part, but I mean, I could see that potentially being the case.
Sure,
And that could be also good for the Simon character to make fun of on the show because they know that obviously he or she is a fake.
So will there be judges there?
Yeah, there'll be 3 judges. Each of them will be similar to the characters that you see on the TV show. You'll have the Simon type, although Disney said he's going to be watered down. It's Disney World after all, so they're not going to be totally destroying these poor people.
Obnoxious, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're just going to they're going to be negative, but not to the extent that the real Simon characters. You're going to have the and then you'll have the 2 other characters over there that are going to help you. The Randy character who's going to be there to to support you, and of course the drugged up person who will the Paulo character who will just simply be there. Kind of no one does any wrong in his or her mind. So it'll be similar to that, but there will be 3 judges. They're off. If you're facing the stage, they'll be on the right hand side. And a lot of this is really it may very well change because what Disney told me was that in January they're going to be doing their test and adjust period, which that's Disney speak for we're going to be testing this out. That's
Right.
probably when there'll be cast member previews and things like that. And they very well may change it. One of the things I was really struck by, Mike, was well, they weren't sure on a lot of things, like Fast Pass, for instance. I asked, "Is this going to be a Fast Pass attraction?"
Yeah.
And they said, that we don't know. They may very well be a Fast Pass attraction. It may not be. What they want to do is they're going to evaluate how it's going to be, and they may have Fast Passes, but they may not. What's interesting is, this was really interesting to me, was the person I spoke to from Disney indicated to me that they wanted to, and this is almost a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing what he said, was to avoid the same problem they had with Toy Story Midway Mania with Fast Passes. Because Fast Pass really has made that attraction so much longer. The wait, the standby line has been so much longer than it needed to be. And I think they're really going to be evaluating that and seeing if that's going to be the case.
But we're talking two completely different type of attractions. We're talking a show type attraction versus I don't want to say constant loading, but constant loading attraction. So they're two different animals. I'm not sure how one would be similar to the other. I think that when you have a Fast Pass kind of a deal with a show, it's a little bit different. I think that, they do have Fast Pass. They have Fast Passes for Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show, and that's a show. And I would think they would have the same thing for Idol. Rather than waiting in line for the show, you get the Fast Pass. Oh, looks like I got a Fast Pass for. Well, you could say, okay, well the 9, 10, 11, and 12 o'clock shows are all taken, but I have a Fast Pass for the 1 o'clock show. That might be the case.
Well, it's interesting you brought up Lights, Motors, Action, Mike, because one of the problems they're having, unrelated to all of Idol, at the studios, is they're having an issue with Fast Passes because both Lights, Motors, Action and Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular haven't used Fast Passes really regularly in months now, and that's simply because there isn't a need for Fast Pass. But the problem is they can't get rid of the machines like they did with Muppet Vision or Star Tours because every park has to have a certain amount of Fast Pass attractions. So I guess they may very well go without Fast Pass, or they may try it out. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see what the quote unquote final product is when we actually get there for that. So that's in essence the what the attraction is going to be. And unfortunately I got a lot of the details not from my tour guide but from again the Disney marketing guy I was able to talk to afterwards. But it's interesting how they were talking about the attraction. Disney's definitely very definitely very excited about the attraction. I think it's something that they're looking to really make a mark in Disney World. What do you guys? How would you rate your excitement for this attraction? Is this something that you're looking forward to? Not looking forward to?
Well, I think that the timing of this is very interesting. Idol has been around for a while, and I am not sure as to how many years it has left. I thought I heard 2 or possibly 3. So I'm wondering why they didn't do this earlier, because we both know, Matt, that Superstar Television Theater has been idle for a while. Idle, get it? Now it's really idle, and I think that if they had put this together 2 years ago, I think I would have been a little bit more excited about it. One of the things I wanted to ask you is that when we were there for MouseFest, you pointed out that huge monitor on the side. Now, is that monitor going to be used throughout the day, or is it just going to be used for the final?
I believe the person I spoke with said for sure during the finale, because I guess they anticipated the largest crowd for the finale show, since you would suspect that would be the most talented show, because you'll have the winners of throughout the day. And that one during the finale show, if they can't get everyone into the theater holds just over 1,000 people. It's about between 1,000 and 1,100 people. If they can't fit all in there, the screen will be on outside with sound, so you can, those who can't make it in can watch it from the outside. I'm not sure about if they're going to have it on during every single show. I personally hope not, but they may have that. I don't know. So that'll be interesting to see whether or not that's going to be the case. What's also interesting, Mike, was how you were talking about the timing of bringing this in, and this leads me to something else that is something that I thought was actually pretty smart by Disney. One of the reasons Disney brought in this attraction is the group Fremantle Media Group, which is the media group that owns the American Idol show.
Right.
They're the ones that are paying the entire bill for this attraction. Disney, like Disney World, is spending $0 on this attraction, whereas Fremantle Media is paying for everything. Now, what that means is they're paying all the money to bring this building, which has been, like you said, Mike, idle for, almost a decade now. back up to standards and refitting the entire, because the whole thing looks totally different now. It's really beautiful. I think if you step inside, Mike, you'll really be amazed by what they've done with it. And what that means is let's say American Idol's here for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it may be, right? When it's over and they're gone, and eventually it probably will go, Disney gets a perfectly refurbished new building, basically. And then, they didn't have to spend any money on ripping, it apart or doing anything like that. So for Disney, it's a great money-saving thing for them, for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that they seem to do that with a lot. They seem to partner with a lot of outfits, and Disney seems to let the others write the check.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it usually, but I think in this case, I think it actually was pretty smart. Newell, what's your level of anticipation for this?
Not really excited at all about it. I'm not a fan of the show. I don't watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned. Two things about that big monitor that you mentioned earlier. Number one, if it is on during the day when the shows are on, you can expect a large crowd outside watching that monitor just to see what's going on.
Right.
And number two, in order to feed that large crowd, they're probably going to have loud speakers blaring what's going on. So that means if I'm across the way over, in front of, I don't know, prime time or something like that, you're probably going to hear that music and that singing all throughout that front entrance of the park. And if that's the case, I'm just assuming. I don't know.
So I would think I don't think you're off base, Mike. Think about American Idol, High School Musical. Similar thing. I mean, you can hear it if you're within earshot of it. That earshot is pretty large.
Only twice a day as opposed to 7 times a day if they decide to do that.
No, High School Musical is on many times a day.
No, but you know what I mean.
But not like Idol. Idol, it sounds like it's going to be all day long.
Yeah, once an hour.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, I agree.
That's just an assumption if that's the way they do it,
Right.
And me not being a fan, I really don't want to hear that all day.
Well, I'm not like I said, I'm not someone who watches TV shows. I think I watched 1 or 2 seasons of it, sparingly. But the truth is, I'm interested to see what Disney's done with it. I think that with many attractions, Disney does a good job of making them entertaining, and I'm gonna at least give it a shot to see how it's gonna to be. That being said, I don't anticipate this being my favorite attraction. I don't anticipate this attraction being an attraction that I'll visit every single time I'm at the studios. But it's probably going to do the job of bringing in the tweens. I can imagine the Len's daughter will probably have a field day with it, I'm sure.
And I'm just glad that they're actually doing something with that space, because that space sat empty for so long, and it's a really nice theater. Holds a lot of people. Holds about 1,000-something people.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mike.
It's really nice that they're actually opening up and giving it life again. That part I appreciate.
It's going from idol to idol.
The pun was bad enough when you made it unintentionally before. But.
Yeah. Now he's gonna bring it up.
Well, I guess that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by All-Star Vacation Homes. And guess what? If you're at Walt Disney World and you actually want to watch the real American Idol on TV, why settle for this little small TV that you get at Walt Disney World resorts? Why not stay at an All-Star Vacation Home where you'll have a huge TV? Newell and I stayed in an All-Star Vacation Home that had it had its own home theater, so we could have watched Idol on a 60-inch screen, Mike.
Yeah, but we watched the Denver Broncos instead.
That's right. Well, we had no choice in that. But at any rate, you can watch whatever you like on that TV, along with all the other TVs and all the other rooms in there. That's just one of the many amenities that All-Star Vacation Homes have. Give them a try. Visit them online at www.allstarvacationhomes.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. For Lanchester, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
A production of Mouse World Radio.